Hey bosses, this is Tammy from Asian Boss. In the light of Squid Game's global success, many have paid close attention to the appearances of two players who are migrant workers from Pakistan living in Korea. According to recent studies, there are more than 392,000 undocumented foreign workers in Korea whose struggles and realities of increasing debt, exploitation at work, and harsh living conditions are similar to what is depicted on the show. Today, we sat down with Christian Lagahit, a Filipino actor based in Korea who appeared as player 276 on Squid Game, to hear more about the meaning behind the representation of his character and what his experience was like on the set of Squid Game. Let's go! Thank you so much for your time today. It's a pleasure to have you here.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Tammy, and thanks for having me in your show.
So you're a Filipino actor based in Korea, and you're one of the only two foreign players from Squid Game.
That's right.
For the people who may not be familiar with you, do you mind giving a brief introduction of yourself?
I'm the only Filipino actor in the drama series Squid Game, and I am an explorer, I'm an adventurer, I'm a marketing consultant, a data analyst, a part-time actor in Korea, and now a community leader.
So exactly how many productions have you been a part of, and were there any shows or movies that might ring a bell to our audience?
In terms of Korean dramas, I think I've had more than 60, modesty aside. In terms of Korean movies, I guess it's more than 20 or approximately 30, because right now we're still, if I'm going to include those films and dramas that we're filming right now. In terms of big breaks, I would say that it was in 2019 where I had my biggest break for Korean drama, wherein I landed the character of Kisan in the drama Chongil Chonja Misli. I think that was my biggest break because I was one of the characters. I was the only foreigner in that drama, so that for me that was like a unique thing. You know what's funny was that when I see the poster and I saw my face there, I was like, wow, is this true? I mean, not everyone would have this kind of opportunity, like having your picture in a Korean drama poster. So that was such an amazing thing that happened to me in 2019. But prior to that, the movie The Negotiation, which starred Hyun Bin and Song Hye-jin, was my biggest break in terms of Korean movie because that was the movie wherein I had my first ever lines. Would you imagine? I mean, I've been doing a lot of stuff before as a background actor, but none of them would give me the opportunity to speak. But in this movie, I was like given like 4 or 5 lines, both in English and in Filipino. So that having said, I mean, that experience was such a big thing for me because I was like, yay! Finally, I got some lines.
Woo! I can talk.
I can talk.
Yeah.
I'm giving the break. Because sometimes, you know, as an artist, it would only sink into you when you kind of have this kind of opportunities. I mean, if you've only been there as a background actor, doing nothing, just passing by, walking, drinking, like dancing, sometimes it's hard for you to label yourself as a background actor, not even as an artist. So when people ask me like, hey, which part or which scene in Chloe or like Crash Landing on You did you appear? I was like, even if I mention to you, you guys won't recognize me because like they just filled my face with a lot of makeup and I can't even recognize my own. So I was just basically there as a literal background actor. And that same thing happens also to me in ET1 class. So in ET1 class, in the first 2 episodes, you'll see a lot of foreigners there. So I actually also auditioned for a character, but I didn't make it because of my lack of proficiency in Korean language. So I ended up as a background actor. But nonetheless, you know, having those kind of opportunities is still a blessing. I still count them as a blessing because not everyone here in Korea would have those kind of opportunities. And I believe everyone starts from the bottom. I started this thing way back in 2016 when a Korean manager discovered me in the set. After all, it was actually like an odd beginning, to be honest, because I only went to the studio just to be with friends, just to support them, and basically just to see a Korean celebrity. It was not my intention to be part of that production, to be honest. And the director came to me, shouted at me, yelled at me and asked me like, why the hell are you here and why are you not on the set? And I was like, no, I'm actually not part of this production. I'm just here as, as a friend. It was a Korean drama, and I guess they were requiring some foreigners on the set, and I guess they were also requiring for some, foreign looks, like particular Southeast Asian looks on the set. So after that, a manager just approached me, a Korean manager who speaks English, approached me and asked me like, hey, do you want to be an actor? And I was like, seriously, up until now, I vividly remember that question of her, and when I said, no, I don't really see myself. But then she said, well, why don't you give it a try? And I was like, yeah, there's no harm in trying. So let's do this.
So what were you doing as a full-time job before? Or like, what were you doing as a full-time job
before?
During that time?
During the time, I was not doing any job here in Korea. I was more of like a freelancer because during the time, the visa, my visa has a lot of restrictions. So I really cannot like do a lot of stuff, even if I think I have the skills for those kind of roles. But because of the limit that I have on my visa. So the first time I came here into Korea, I actually don't have any intention of doing this kind of things. All I want was to get a nice, high-paying job, to be honest, being practical, right? But then I got the first opportunity to be a teacher. Way back home, way back in the Philippines, I am an educator. I think when I had the opportunity to become a teacher, that just kind of gave me the other platform. So that's when I started like doing vlogs. Like I have a small blog. When people see or when people hear the word Korea, the first thing that came into their mind, is K-pop, K-drama, K-movies. And sometimes they are very limited to those kind of concepts. And I wanted to break that ice. I wanted to give them a different perspective of what Korea is all about, that there's more of Korea, that Korea has a lot of beautiful places, beautiful landmarks, amazing history, the culture, the arts, which I love the most. From having a YouTube channel, I started creating my own Facebook page. That's when another opportunity comes. So another Korean company just like tapped me and asked me, hey, would you like to work for our company? That's when I started to become a marketing manager. And from being a marketing manager, I became a marketing consultant. From being a marketing consultant, I become a leader of my community. And that's where I had the opportunity of giving service back to my Filipino, like to my fellow men.
So by your community, do you mean the Filipino
community.
The Filipino community here in Korea?
Here in Korea, that's right.
Wow, so that's a lot to unpack. There's it sounds like you start off with one thing and then it just like unraveled into all these different new opportunities. For those who might have missed your appearance on the Squid Game show as well, do you mind describing your character and also where you appear and how long you appear?
When I got the role, it says there that I'll have a special appearance only, and it was even specified there that would only appear there for a couple of days, 3 days to be specific. But when I started filming the character of 276, I was just surprised that they kind of extended me. And to be honest, when I arrived, I don't even know like what kind of role would I be playing. Would I be a typical background actor? Would I just stand in a corner like the other dramas or the other movies that I had? But I was just surprised when they changed or when they did some changes on the script, and I was just being placed to the group of the lead actors. And it happened when, like in episode 4 and 5. In episode 4 and 5, that's where you will see the tug of war game. So they introduced my character on the last part of episode 4, wherein the character of Ali was looking for someone who's going to be part of their team, because it's a group game. So they need people in their game. So they put me as another foreigner looking for how to survive, because that's like a survival game, right? And they asked Ali to approach me and then ask me to be part of their team, and that's where the character begins. So if you guys haven't seen the drama series, you'll see me, or you'll find me in episodes 4, 5, and 6. So mainly you'll see me on the tug of war game and on the part wherein they're trying to make some strategies. I was that guy who was so much into the corn. I love Korean corn. I don't know. There's a lot of funny stories about the corn, because even when they were filming, because I don't have like some speaking lines, I just keep on eating. And then I didn't realize that some of the cameramen noticed me and they were like, can someone ask Chris to stop eating the corn? It's just a props. I'm sorry, but I actually didn't realize because I don't have any lines, I don't have anything to do. And they said that, okay, just be your character, just pretend as if, just go with the flow, understand what's happening. So all I did was like, okay, So probably some people might see that. I'm not sure if they edited that. And then on the next game, which is the marble game. So that was in episode 6, and that's where most of the people, especially Filipinos, started bashing me.
Why? What happened there?
Because it's a Filipino game as well. It's a marble game. And they were like, how come that you lose in a marble game when I'm pretty sure you've been playing that since you were young? How come? You don't know how to play marble games? Things like that. I was like, why are you guys so serious? No, literally, I've been getting a lot of messages like, oh, no, you went to Korea, you can't even play marble games? Some Filipinos take it to that extent.
But it was a part of the script?
Exactly. That's what I don't understand. I mean, they started just bashing me and saying a lot of like negative things against me, and I was like, I'm tired of like defending myself. Come on. I mean, let's go back to our sentence. That's just part of the game. My character would be only up until that part. So let's move on.
So your character had to not do well so that...
Yeah, so the character will be eliminated in that part or in that episode.
So you also mentioned like the people on set told you to be your character.
Yep.
What was your character?
So according to the assistant director, my character is someone a foreign character who owns a lot of debt way back home, and that he came to Korea to look for better opportunities, but then he didn't get a nice job because he was an illegal immigrant as well. And when he saw the opportunity to join that game, thinking that, obviously she'll get the money. That's when he saw the numbers, the figure, he was more than eager to get that prize as well. That's why he joined that particular game.
And you also mentioned that your character is a non-speaking character. Is there a specific reason why this character is non-speaking?
But the character itself is non-speaking because he's like 한국말 못해, or he doesn't really know how to speak Korean very well. So as you see, when the character was introduced, we started with the hand gestures. Instead of like, normally you can just say 안녕하세요, or like you can just greet hi, hello. But because Ali doesn't know if that person also speaks Korean or English, so they started with the hand gesture, and that hand gesture is very common for the character's origin, like the character was from Pakistan. And because Ali is from India and I'm from the Philippines, and the character was both from Pakistan, so we were like, okay, there's no way for us to do some Pakistani gestures here. So I guess it was Ali who remembered like, hey, wait, so let me just check. Sometimes I see some of my friends from Pakistan who do this kind of gesture, so we tried to do that, and the director approved it. So from then, you'll see us just both of us like in one group, but nonetheless, my character doesn't speak at all because the character 276 doesn't really know how to speak Korean much.
Is there also a reason why both of the foreign players were Pakistani?
It's a reality that there's a lot of like Pakistan workers here, not just like Pakistani, but we also, aside from Southeast Asian, we have people from Bangladesh, Nepal. There's not a lot of like Indian workers here. Although Filipinos, there's a lot of, people, like skilled workers who works here in Korea with that kind of visa. But for me, I think the reason why they chose the Pakistani nationality was probably because in terms of number, there's really a lot of Pakistani workers here. And one of the assistant director mentioned that because, Indians and Filipinos have been used for a lot of movies and dramas already, their characters, so might as well change it to someone, to another race which was not being used in other dramas and movies.
How did you land this role in Squid Game, and what was the process like?
For those who doesn't know, I actually auditioned for the other character. So I believe they're all familiar with the character of Ali. In 2019, I got a call from a manager and said that, hey, there's a production who's interested to give you a script, and they are interested to ask you to audition for a character. And without hesitation, I just said, okay, yeah, I'm more than okay with that. So where's the script? So she sent me the script. I had a look in the script, tried it, checked it for 2 days, and then practiced for the script, and then I went for the audition. After the audition, it took them like 4 months? No, 4 weeks or a month. And then they said, okay, just prepare for next year because you guys might start shooting next year. On the second attempt of doing the audition for the character of Ali, they said that your acting is good, it's just that they are worried about your Korean proficiency. Mid of 2020 or June, another management just tapped me and said, "Hey Chris, you know Squid Game? Their production is actually looking for you." And I was like, wait, I remember that. Oh yeah, but no, they refused me. I mean, they actually rejected me. And then he said, no, they're actually looking for you. I was like, really? To play the character of Ali, right? And I said, no, it's a different one. So that's when he mentioned that you'll have a special appearance. And for what kind of appearance, we don't know, but we will know that once we get into the set. And yeah, I mean, when I get into the set, they gave me that T-shirt number 276, and without any knowledge of like, what am I gonna do with this 276 shirt? And things just happened so fast when on my third day they said, "Oh, Chris, I'm so sorry, but you can't leave now because you will be having another shoot on this day." So my character 276 lasted for 19 days, and it was like it ran for like 4 or 5 months, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because we were also filming in the middle of pandemic. So there were times wherein we have to postpone the filming because the cases were going up. But yeah, I think it was such an amazing and great journey, even if it lasted for 5 months. Imagine a small character was there in that series for 5 months.
Because you also probably had to appear as like among the crowd.
Yes,
and stuff,
among the
right?
crowds, that's true.
Did you expect the global success of Squid Game?
Well, to be honest, I have never imagined that it would be phenomenal. When we were filming it, I was just being honest to my friend that I was just telling Anup or Ali, this would be an amazing or a great like drama series. Not to mention that it's from Netflix. Because as someone who was acting and someone who was inside, I basically understand how different it is from the other dramas and other movies that I've been part of. The huge itself, the studio where we were filming, for me, I was like, wow, this is my first time to see us in a studio as huge as this. So every time we moved to a different studio, I'm always amazed. And my friend would always tell me, "Hey man, come on, stop it. I mean, we've been doing this for a couple of times." But I was like, man, you can't stop me because imagine, have we tried this before? This is also your first, right? So we were always amazed. That's why when I finished my character, I kind of know that, this would be an amazing show. This would be a great series, but not to the extent of being a phenomenon and being #1 in 94 countries. I mean, wow.
Yeah, so it was expected but unexpected at the same time. What was the reaction like in the Philippines?
Well, I guess everyone in the Philippines so loved the drama, and when they found out that there's another Filipino, well, I would say that some of them celebrated. My families and friends really congratulated me. I just posted some random pictures from the behind the scene, and I was just surprised that people kind of started picking up that photo, and it's like, oh, so there's a Filipino in the drama series Squid Game, and I was like, wait. It was just a small role.
So you mentioned that everyone in the Philippines were so excited to see this Filipino representation, or not representation because you were playing a Pakistani character, but seeing a Filipino actor on screen. Why do you think they're so excited to see a Filipino actor on Korean dramas?
Seeing a fellow kababayan or another Filipino in a foreign land having that kind of opportunity, I believe some of the Filipinos would really feel proud of that. And I guess it happens to anyone, not just to me. I believe it also happened to other Filipinos who did something amazing or who did some project overseas, not just like here in Korea. Not in my wildest imagination that when I got in here in Korea, I'll have the opportunity to be acting for Korean dramas. Because again, Korean dramas and movies is such a big hit in the Philippines. Filipinos are so much into this kind of, especially the rom-com genre. So we are so much into that. And I don't know, but even I myself, I'm a huge fan of K-dramas. So to be one of the actors, even if it's just a background actor, is such a huge opportunity and a blessing.
Let's take it back to your roots. So what was your life like in the Philippines?
I came from a humble beginning, and believe me or not, but I had the worst scenarios when I was young. So my teachers way back then has been telling me that for you to be able to land a good job in the future when you grow old, the best thing for you to do is to study well. And that's what I did. I studied well. I aspired to be a lawyer when I was young, but I think I don't have the means, or my family can. Let's just say that my family doesn't have the means to support me for that kind of dream. But when I discovered that I have the passion, and I have the passion for kids, and I have the talent of teaching, that's when I started like honing my skills and kind of developed that philosophy that as a teacher, there should be these 3 T's that you should have within yourself. And that 3 T's stands for, you should teach minds, you should touch hearts, and you should transform lives. And that is my philosophy as a teacher. I just wanted to be the same person that my teachers were. They gave me the same lessons, they gave me the same philosophies in life, and I want to give it back to the next generation. I was also sending some kids to school. So these kids were actually like, the streets that I found in the streets of my area. So I kind of supported these kids because as a teacher, I believe that education is the most important thing in life aside from next to happiness. So I kind of created a small charity of my own. I just love doing it because for me it's fulfilling. However, with the nature of job that I had, which was teaching, I figured out that it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to send 8 kids to school with a very limited amount that you get on a monthly basis. So what happened was I kind of looked for a different industry wherein I can at least get a better pay, and that's when I started working for a call center. So basically, when I got into the call center, I started as an agent, the lowest position.
What made you sort of leave your life in the Philippines behind and start a new adventure in Korea?
There will be times in your life wherein you would look for something more. You would strive for more. And from what people doesn't know, my mom is actually here in Korea. So she asked me like, why don't you come here to Korea and then check yourself if there's an opportunity or if there are opportunities for you here. So that's when I came here in 2014. But then I realized that Korea was not for me during that time. I kind of like looked for some jobs available, but for a Filipino, it's not as easy as people think that when you come here, even if you speak good English, even if you're a professional way back home, it's easy for you to have a job. No, especially that this country speaks Korean, and if you don't speak Korean, then you can't land a lot of jobs here. So I came back home, and then told myself, Korea is not for me. And it was only in 2015 when my mom told me again and asked me the same favor, like, try it again. Come here, visit here, check opportunities, and that's when I started loving Korea.
Did you go through any culture shocks when you first moved to Korea?
Oh, there is a lot of culture shock, like the pali-pali system. I mean, because I'm more of like a laid-back person, and when I first came here, even on my first day as working as a teacher, everything was, the principal just asked me to do a lot of things in a fast-paced manner, and I was like, huh? I was really surprised. And it took me a while before I kind of adjusted to that kind of system that Koreans have. Aside from that, the respect for everyone higher than you. So in the Philippines, we just basically like say hi, hello to everyone, regardless of the position that we have. Even in my workplace, we don't even like call them boss, because for us, we believe in the same, we may have different nature of job, nature of like work, but everyone is the same. We work for the same company, and we're like a family. But here, there's no way that you can have the same. You cannot have the same treatment.
Yeah,
as what we have.
Very hierarchical.
Yeah, that's true. That's the word. So it was very new to me.
So what about any stereotypes you encountered? If you have any stories of like positive, negative.
For me, it's more of the discrimination, not just like the stereotyping. Yeah. The most memorable one was when I was inside the village bus. It was the last trip. And I was sitting at the back because mall bus here are very small. It can only accommodate a few people to sit. So other people were already standing in the bus. There was this woman who was just staring at me. But at first I didn't pay attention because I thought that she was maybe looking with the boys because there were boys in front of me. So I thought that, oh, maybe she's looking at these students. And a few minutes passed by. I was just surprised when something hit my face. She threw a cabbage on my face.
A cabbage?
A cabbage, the vegetable.
In
Straight
the
to my
bus?
face. And I was wearing eyeglasses at the time, and the first thing that I looked for was my eyeglasses because I can't see. So I looked for my eyeglasses, and when I picked my eyeglasses, it was already broken. And I kind of used that broken eyeglasses to just see because I can't see. I mean, I'm kind of farsighted. And then I asked, like, I'm sorry, what's happening here? Why did you throw this vegetable on me? The hardest part was like no one was paying attention to me. You know what I mean? Everyone was there. There's a lot of people inside the bus. It was filled, but no one was there to at least help me.
What did the woman, was it an old lady or?
She was a woman in her probably late 50s.
Okay.
And
what did she say? Why did she throw the cabbage at you?
I mean, from the according to the other lady, she mentioned that because she wants you to step out of the bus.
Why?
Because I'm not Korean. And that bus was intended for Koreans.
So what did you end up doing?
And then I told her, like, but there's no such thing as a foreigner bus here in Korea. Why would I step out? Besides, this is the last trip. So what should I do? I can't take a taxi. I don't have that much for me to take a taxi, and I don't know how to take a taxi here. I don't really speak Korean. And then she said, you just have to go out. And I was crying inside. But for me, there's nothing I can do anymore. I cannot complain. But what I don't understand is that there are other people's inside that mahal bus. I just feel so bad that no one was ready to help you. No one was ready to defend you. I appreciate the fact that the other lady tried to interpret or translate what the other lady wants to say. And even when she was about to leave the bus, she was still screaming, and she was like saying, no, 외국인은 다 나쁜 사람이야. Which means that all foreigners here in Korea are bad people. I remember those lines from her.
Is this type of discrimination common?
Well, I heard other stories, but not to this extent, not to the point that someone would throw something on your face. I heard from my friends and stories of my friends that they heard a lot of bad words from Koreans, or sometimes in buses. I also experienced that in bus, no one wants to sit beside me. And then there was one time I remember, this was in 2019. I kind of understand some Koreans already. I was in a bus on my way home, and there's this woman who said, move there, sit with that guy. And then the other lady said, Shiro. It's like said, I don't like. 외국인 있잖아. He's a foreigner. And then the other, oh really? It's like, 맞다, 외국인이구나. And then he said, oh right, he's a foreigner. So I was like, so what's wrong if I'm a foreigner?
How common is it for Filipinos to move to Korea? Like, how big is the community here?
Right now, as far as I'm concerned, based from the last data that I saw from the list, there's currently 46,000 Filipinos here, approximately.
What are the sort of occupations that they pick up on?
Most of us here are like EPS workers or skilled workers, and then I would say half are married to Korean people. And then some portion belongs to students, and then some priests, and then like lay ministers.
Acting is that also a common job?
Not really. That's why I'm blessed. That's why people would always tell me that you're living the life of everyone's dream. Because everyone is like dreaming to be like, just to be here in Korea is already a blessing. What more if you get the chance to work in Korean show business, meeting the celebrities, the Korean celebrities. That's the dream of everyone in the Philippines, especially the younger ones, the Gen Z as we call them.
So you mentioned like the skilled worker part. What does that entail?
Skilled workers mean these people who works for people working in factories here in Korea.
In Squid Game, like Ali was also working in this factory. Would it be that kind of?
That kind of thing.
Okay, I see.
That kind of thing, that kind of job. It's more of like a survival. And you know what happened in Squid Game is really happening right now. It's survival of the fittest. So if you're not that brave enough, then you will lose. I would speak on behalf of those Filipinos that I've encountered, that I have served in my community, and not just in my community, but also in other communities. Like every time I move from one place to another, I will hear stories about the treatments that they're getting from their boss, the way their salaries are being cut without their knowledge and without even informing them. Like last year, like in terms of the not the vaccines, but you know the subsidy that was given by the government, some of them didn't even get the supposed support from the government because according to them, like their boss actually cut it or probably just didn't help them. Their boss didn't help them how to get those kind of subsidy or support from the government. You know, small things like that, those minor things, if you collect all of them, is a huge thing. And I believe if these things are happening to Filipino workers here, what more to other foreigners here? So the story of Ali doesn't only reflect one race, but it reflects the majority or probably all the foreigners here in Korea. I would say that there are also blessed factory workers here in Korea. I mean, we have different scenarios, we have different situations, and I'm so happy for those type of people. But there is still a lot of people out there, foreign workers out there, who get the same treatment, the way Ali had on the drama Squid Game. And I hope that this would be a wake-up call for the government to also check, especially those who are assigned to the welfare of foreign workers here in Korea, because I believe that the foreign workers here, you know, we are contributing a lot for the growth of this country. So I hope that, you know, if there are people working for Korean government, please do check also. There's a lot of things that I want to discuss about the welfare of foreign workers here in Korea, not just about Filipinos. And I hope that this can be addressed in a special forum. Yeah. One day they'll have a seat with other leaders and talk about these matters, because I believe that foreign workers here contributes a lot for the growth of this country.
How are foreigners, specifically Southeast Asians, portrayed on Korean TV shows?
Oh, most of the time we were given those kind of villain roles. I mean, I myself have experienced probably all the villain roles. Like, aside from being the typical factory workers, other types of like roles that you would get would be like a robber, part of the mafia, a drug dealer, a smuggler. And at first I also questioned that why would they have that kind of stereotype, that why can't we have a role of like a simple opa or a simple student? But in reality, I should also assess that, hey, come on, this is Korean industry. You're not supposed to play those kind of roles. And in reality, again, you don't see those kind of people like us representing or being an opa or someone who works for big companies here. I don't think it would happen.
Why do you feel like there's no other choice but to do those roles in Korean society?
I also think that the reason why we are always labeled as foreign workers is because the society is not yet ready to see other foreign actors doing other type of characters. Maybe that's just my perspective. I hope after Squid Game, because Squid Game is a phenomenal series, I hope that this would break that stereotype, that Ali and I, at some point, or especially in my case, we kind of open the doors for the filmmakers or for producers or even for directors, that foreign actors can do something more than being like a factory worker. Because most of the time that I'm asked to do some acting gigs, it's always going to be like a factory worker. And I hope one day, I pray that one day we will be given other opportunities or other roles. They've seen how Ali portrayed his character, and probably they've also seen how I portrayed my character. I hope that the industry would think that this foreign actors has something, there's something more that they can deliver. That aside from being a factory worker, aside from portraying the roles of factory worker, which I don't see really bad, that they can also probably level up or step up their game. Because if you just look at this character, even Ali was probably one of the most loved character in the drama series Squid Game. So I hope that they see that we have other potentials, that we can also act as, someone like probably be a support. I believe Ali can be a supporting actor after this drama series, and I hope that would also happen not just to Ali, not just to me, but to all to other foreign actors here in Korea.
Do you think it's possible for non-Koreans to reach a certain level of success here in Korea?
Yeah, I believe so. I've seen some non-Koreans achieving success here in Korea, but most of those people, I would say, they are like people from the U.S. or from Europe. But it's about time. It's about time that Asian people, non-Korean people, can also succeed and achieve those dreams, big dreams here. I mean, after all, at the end of the day, I mean, everyone is allowed to dream big. So if others can, if those white people can, we also can.
What do you wish young people who are watching this show will do as like a step to sort of advancing the society to a better way?
I always believe in the saying that practice makes perfect, but I believe that when you grow up, it's not the same thing. We don't always look for perfection, but I believe in the saying that, I believe that we should rephrase it with the phrase, practice makes progress. And that applies to each and everyone, for especially the new generation, that when, at this point of time, while you have time, do study well, look for your niche, if it's possible, like find your way, find your place in the society, make a change in the society. Don't let the society wait for you, or don't let the society ask you to change. Be the change in the society. I remember that message from Park Hae-soo Sonbenim, one of the actors, number 218. He said that there's no such thing as small roles. Maybe you find that it's small because you don't have lines. Maybe you think that it's small because the camera is not always with you, but always remember that there is no such thing as small roles in any dramas and any movies. We are all actors here. You're one of us, be one of us, and you're among us. From then, I was like, wow, this is Park Hae-soo telling you these nice words. So what more can you expect? What more? I was just like, I was speechless.
So what is your next step, career-wise or just personally, now moving forward?
Now that I have the platform, I would love, how I wish, I would love the producers or the showbiz industry to look upon us, to see what we can deliver, to see what we can give. And I really hope that, like I said, it would give more opportunities for us. But aside from that, I would also go back to teaching because I love kids. I hope that once we get back to at least the pre-normal, I can get the opportunity to teach kids because I miss teaching kids. I miss sharing my experiences. I miss, transforming, the opinions. I like these Korean kids to have a bigger and wider understanding of what the world can offer to them. Not just limit themselves to the mobile phones, to the small things that they see in front of them. I want them to expand their horizon. I want them to think more.
All of your students in both Korea and Philippines must be like so excited to see their teacher
I hope
appear on Squid Game. Yeah, that's
and I hope they're proud of me.
Thank you so much for your time. It was
the pleasure is mine.
Such a pleasure talking to you and just hearing your story and everything. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the opportunity of being here with Asian Boss.
Right, thank you. Okay.